Hey, welcome back to my channel, Caffeine and Lesson Plans. Today I wanted to share a small homeschool haul with y'all. I made a trip to our local Goodwill. It's actually the first time I'd been to this one since we just moved this July. And I was really pleased. They had all of their books organized. There was even a coffee shop inside, and there were a ton of children's books. I didn't even get through all of the children's books. I didn't have the time, but I was super excited. So we'll just go through these a little bit. First thing I got were these number cards, numbers 0 to 100. I liked that it's basically the cards look like this. It's one number on one side with the word on the bottom, and then the other number on the other side with the word on the bottom. I like this because, I mean, we are at the point where we recognize 1 through 20 very easily, but this goes all the way up to 100, and there's also the word underneath, so I like that it's a visual for both of those things. So it's a sight word kind of thing and the number. So got that. I have a boy, and so we are a big fan of monster trucks, and this is an easy reader, probably a beginning to read alone level. But on one side it's the monster trucks, and when you flip it over it's the cool cars. And so, if you want them to read, you gotta get things that they're interested in reading. So we got that book. This DK reader, it is a beginning to read alone level. On the back it shows you there are different levels. Obviously we are, being kindergarten, are at the learning to read level / beginning to read, but I like to pad my library whenever I can, and also this would be a good resource if we were to do a study on penguins or Antarctica, that kind of thing. So I was excited about that. This is the Berenstein's A book. It's also a beginning reader. Pretty basic, but I liked it because they use a lot of A words. There's a lot of alliteration. See, across an apple, angry ants advance across an apple and an acorn. So it's like, I'm not even sure, I haven't looked all the way through this. I think every single word in here starts with A, so that's pretty cool. Yep. So this will be a good one to read, learning about A sounds and all that good stuff. This is an Usborne book. I'm actually an Usborne consultant. And so I love finding Usborne books because I know how awesome Usborne books are. And this one is on spiders. And my son loves spiders. I am super scared of spiders. I think I would pass out if I saw those things in my house. But he loves it, and you gotta nurture that the love for different things that they have, even if you're not a fan of it. So I knew he would like this, and he did. This one is actually a Hooked on Phonics reader. This says number 27. But it's one of those beginning readers. Like I said, I want to kind of pad our early reader section of our library, and up until this point I had mainly a bunch of storybooks, which are fine, picture books, but definitely need to beef up our early reader section, and so I was excited to find that. Here's another stage. This is stage 1, ready to read. This is on weather. It's pretty easy. I like that. I like the pictures. There's a little quiz in the back. So that's kind of cool. And my son loves weather too. Bears on Wheels. I actually had this book when I was a kid. This one's a super early reader. It's just a few words on each page. I think this was one of the first books I learned to read. Just because it's repetitive, and like I said, there's just a few words on each page, and so that's a nice one. Let's see. Okay, this one is it's a troll book, Frogs and Toads. This one isn't really an early reader, but once again, it's a nice book. If we wanted to do a study on frogs, it talks about if you can see in here, it's labeled the types of frogs, the pictures, and it talks about the life cycle of the frogs. So that's kind of nice. Talks about when they lay the eggs, and then, you know, tadpoles and all that good stuff. So this would be a really good book for us to use if we were doing a study on frogs and toads. This is just a picture book. I remember reading this book, Frederick, when I was little. It's a Caldecott honor book, and so we don't have Leo Liani's work or books, so I was kind of excited to get this. I think the kids will like it. I really like the pictures in this book. Another reader, Glass for DW. I love Arthur. I love Mark Brown, and so I was excited to find some. There were a couple other Arthur books. They were picture books, but I was really trying to go for the early readers. You can see there's not a whole lot of words on each page, and the ones that are on there are rather easy, so it's a good one for the kids. And then the last two books, the books that we are using, well, we're using, obviously, if you've seen the other videos, we're using the All About Reading program, and then we're just using classic literature for our story time. But I found these books. This is the Scott Forsman. These are like school textbooks, but this is Unit 1, and then I got Unit 3. They didn't have Unit 2, but the thing that I like about these books is that you can use them without trying to do the entire program with your child. You know, it talks about literary elements, so character, setting, plot, middle, end, and then let's see, talks about how stories are organized. Some of these things, you know, we wouldn't use, but this is, you know, this right here, this picture of this farm, there are little activities over here. Find 5 things that contain a short A. Find 5 things that end with the sound K. Find something that rhymes with luck. You know, those kind of things. So, working with phonics. There's stuff about blends and sentences and short stories. But there's also, this is what I got it for, the main thing. Obviously, if you went to just a, you know, regular public school growing up, you know that your reading books have stories in them. And so there's some really good beginning reader stories in this one and the other one. And so at the end of each story, they have thinking critically, and then talks about the illustrator, and then there's some different activities that you can do. So I was kind of excited about that. We can always use these to beef up our lesson. We could also use these also as homework. But this is Unit 1. And then Unit 2 is pretty much the same way, only it's just a little bit more advanced. So the stories, you've got more words with the stories. So, and then at the end, once again, you have critical thinking questions, meet the illustrator, and then some activities. And so I was excited to get those. I have a love of textbooks, especially young textbooks. I have textbooks from when I was in grade school, when there were a couple classes I had where they were getting rid of the books at the end of that year, and they let the students take them home, and I took mine home, and I still have them, which is kind of goofy, but I'm excited to use these, and I'm excited to have some beginning readers now for the kids, and so yeah, that is my Goodwill haul for today. Thanks. See you next time. Bye.